call to order. Please rise to salute the flag. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, do roll call of members. And then we'll mention that in
Councilmember Moore, I put my number's name. Sorry, Brian.
I'm here anyway.
The mask. The mask.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye, here.
Councilmember Bory,
Here.
Supervisor Trombley,
here.
and Councilmember Rochester is running a few minutes late.
Thank you. Presentations of petitions, communications, general question period. Alan, would you like to speak?
Yep, I'd like to speak, and I apologize, I went head out and get to the Moore's meeting, so. I think maybe Jason brought up the sales tax last meeting. The figures are out. I think the newspaper press did a little story on it. But just so you'll have the figures in front of you, for the towns and villages, we shared $15 million. That was 2.9 million over the projection. And 1.7 million over last year, over 2020. So that was a 13% increase from a year ago, as far as the towns are concerned. Individually, town of Champlain, we received $725,768 of sales tax money. That was 46,000 over the 2020 amount. And Village of Champlain, because that's within our township, 208,000. That was 12,000 over 2020. Rouse's Point did very well. They had 423,000. Of course, it's all based on assessments and stuff. So they were $21,757 over 2020 So
How much? 21,000?
$21,757 over last year's 2020s. So when Mike Zola was doing the projections, he always projects a little low just to be on the safe side, so we don't over project. But this is the actuals from one year to the other, so, you know, based on the COVID year, I think that's outstanding. People apparently are spending money. So, any questions on that?
Thank you.
I mentioned the landfill last meeting also. We have our meeting where we'll be finalizing it tomorrow night, so it's not in concrete yet, but it went through the finance committee meeting, and so it should be okay. So Champlain is fine. There will be 3 areas that we'll be losing theirs. They'll have to go to a nearby area. But I don't want to say that right now, because until we pass that, it's not the way it is. So we are sitting good, and we've been promised that based on what we're doing this right now, there'll be no changes for at least 2 years. So, and the only change we're going to be looking forward to, and Alan indicated that he was fine with it, was the towns will be asked to help clean out the convenience stations a little bit. So they'll work that out with each individual town. But Alan said that he used to do it in the past, so it's not anything new.
And correct me if I'm wrong, at the last meeting, didn't you say that would be a savings to the town in the area of around 40,000?
Not for the town, no.
I thought it would be, okay.
No, the town's not gonna be saving any money.
Okay, all right.
But what the county people have, legislators have indicated is they're receptive to the idea that this would be part of your county-town budget, because the landfills, the convenience stations are owned by the county. So if you could charge a little more for that time, that's the way it looks like right now. But again, Casella will be working with the different town highway departments and
Yeah, and just to clarify, when you say cleaning out, you're referring to snow.
Plowing.
Snow, yeah,
Yeah,
winter.
I just wanted to clarify that,
Yeah, not,
yeah.
not hauling the garbage away, no.
No, I knew that,
No, I'm gonna worry about that. Okay, and I dropped you off a little thing, I met today with the representatives from the New York State Police. They're in a big recruiting thing, as you may recall, I'm sure you all recall, a little over 20 years ago, after 9/11, 2001, we had a big recruitment and the police force went up. So if you join the state police, you can retire after 20 years. So now, all of a sudden, they're getting all these vacancies opening up. So they are down a great number of people, so. So they'll be doing a recruiting effort, the figures there. I think when the person starts, they start off at 58, what does it say there, Tom, for the,
Yeah.
after a year?
Starting salary 58,400, and after 1 year, 82,677.
And I think what I heard today from these guys was that, after 5 years, you're up over 100,000, so it's a very,
They've got here that minimum test requirements, of course, is US citizen, but 20 years old. Do they have a max for applying? Normally do.
yes, he said they would recruit up to 36, but that's usually with some military experience. So the average Joe or Jane off the street can't wait till they're 36 to apply. But they got some military, positive, input, they could apply up to age 36. Because they want, even the top guns, they told me today, are retired by 60. They want a young workforce that can get out there and,
So I wonder what the max is for a non-military.
I don't know, I would say, some, maybe late 20s, but they have a website, I'm sure it
Yeah.
mentions there that,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking if, Sarah could scan that, maybe put it on the town website, because they want us to start spreading the word, they got representing the county, two Wednesdays from now, whatever that day that is, 23rd, I think. And we're gonna have a meeting with different community leaders up at Clinton Community College. And the head of the state police is gonna be there from the state. So they're really pushing this recruitment and also trying to get community, people from the community. So that when that police person shows up, it's someone that the community knows and they feel comfortable with, and that person knows the community.
That's smart thinking.
Yeah, so, that's what they're trying to do, so I think that's a good thing, particularly there's some areas that probably really, they're trying to be diverse too, so the areas that have a particular population. They told me today that out of 15 people who successfully get beyond the application phase, that pass the test and so on, they still get only about 1 out of 15 that finally make it
Out of the academy, I mean?
Yeah, so the attrition rate is pretty quick, that people get in it and find out that it's a lot of money, it's decent money, but, they're gonna have to earn it, so.
Mhm.
So I think helping promote, that is important, so if you could, put that in the town website, it'd be nice.
Yes, we'll do that.
Could post it here too.
Yeah, you can stick that up after Sarah scans it, just stick that up on the bulletin board here.
Mhm.
Anything, anybody got any questions?
No, I don't have anything, Alan, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Carol.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Calvin.
I'll mention you guys in motors.
Okay.
Alright.
All right.
We said hi.
Take care.
Sounds like Ian's here.
I know that.
Those are given a minute, we're gonna do the minutes, I guess.
I'll hide.
Gosh, I just realized I jumped ahead of that, look, calendar out here.
Hello, Ann.
Hello, Ann, how are you?
Good. Where's my hero? Alan, who rescued me out of a snowbank.
I heard about it.
Oh my, it was awful.
Well,
It's very dark out there at 3 in the morning.
Oh. Oh. Time for an all-wheel drive pickup.
Something of that nature, it would be nice.
Okay, Ann, if you don't mind, I'll keep going. We started
Go right
with,
ahead.
we started without you.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the January 11th minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion, any corrections or omissions needed? I didn't find anything.
I didn't see any.
Okay, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried, minutes are approved. Report from the supervisor. Good evening. First and foremost, I would like to extend a big thank you to our highway department. They've done an outstanding job taking care of our roads this winter, especially during the last couple of weeks. They, including our highway superintendent, spent many overnight and weekend hours keeping the problem areas open due to heavy winds and snowstorms. An update from the leadership team consisting of the mayors of the village and myself. We recently held our second meeting February 1st. The agenda consisted of our marketing initiative. We discussed where our team is currently and laid out our plan moving forward. Both villages are eager to be a part of this project and are willing to entertain sharing the costs accordingly to the size of the organizations. As they are both currently building their budgets for the 2022 and 2023 fiscal year, it is imperative that our team rates an accurate budget for this project. We will be working on this month, and it will start with a meeting this week with the marketing director from the chamber. And Jason will report in more detail on his report. That meeting did get moved to next week due to a conflict with the director from the chamber. The Miramar Buildings. Recently had a meeting with Matt Boyer, the CDC, and I asked for some history on this property. It is a lengthy story, but the fact is the town needs to address the condition of this empty, unused building. It definitely is falling in disrepair and is in violation of town codes. I have asked our code enforcement officer, Chris Matat, to send a letter to the owner of the property to begin the process of correcting these violations. And this will also be in our correspondence. Chris also did a letter to the board as well. So we're just gonna move forward and see if we can get something done with this building. One of many, there's more to come. Met with the water and sewer commissioners to discuss the Route 11 corridor wastewater project. I don't know if you read the correspondence from my emails, but we'll have discussions on what step we wish to go further on that when we get new business. And I met with our youth director and went over the many youth programs that are scheduled to be ran this year. They will be adding in a cheerleading program this year. Charlene is looking into the possibility of running our swim program in Shazy due to the NCCS pool undergoing upgrades this summer. So we're not sure how that looks yet, and more than likely the parents will have to transport, but we don't know that yet either. The first step is she's meeting with the youth director there in Shazy to see how much they can take on, whether we do just the new swimmer group, you know, young children, which is the most important because they're falling behind here, they're not being involved at all, and we're gonna have a couple of years lag, or if they can take on more than that, and then we'll go from there.
The buses can't bring them to Shazy.
We'll look at that as well, once we figure out how many kids we're talking, and then I'll go to Rob and see what the cost would be to do that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much different because they,
Yeah, it's just a few more miles.
yeah, it's not, because to me, I've always felt that learning to swim was something that needs to be done.
I agree.
Fundamental.
I mean,
Right.
every year you read about someone, you know, on the lake, they fell out of a kayak, they fell out of a canoe, and they drowned. And calm waters, warm weather, and I think of kids that they have learned to swim, what a difference it would make. To me, that's a real priority, it should be.
Yeah, and that's why we're trying to see if, because the school is under construction, the pool will be under construction, so we can't
But
use
the
it. so-
busing, I know,
so,
is helpful, you know, as
Yeah,
a parent right now,
yeah,
I
well,
know.
we had to pay for it within the district as well, so it'd just be a few added miles.
Yeah, it isn't far, it should
Yeah.
be.
but we need to find out how many kids they can handle. That's her first step. She'll get back to me and we'll go from there. And then in review of our public employer health emergency plan, I feel that this document requires revision to address the current CDC public health guidelines that we're in as of now compared to where we were over a year ago. So I've drafted an addendum for your review and we'll address that in our new business as well. And then note, we have COVID tests available and we have N95 masks coming in soon. The county should be delivering those, I'm assuming sometime this week. And we have posted this on our webpage. So that's all I have as far as report. So we'll do reports from the council members. Who do we want to start? Want to start with Brian? Work our way around.
Do you want me to talk about the grant, the recreation grant?
Yes.
Just, she sent us a budget for us to look over, and,
Is that what came in today, Brian?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
but I don't know, yeah, Jason and Annie didn't get it, but, I got an extra copy on the budget. And she has certain parts that, when I copy it, it's not gonna be in yellow, but the yellow, she said, never mind, she's got those costs. The upper part, she had some, like the bicycle rack and benches, things like that, for us to provide to meet the 8,000 total. It's an $8,000 grant for Rouse's Point, 8,000 for Champlain, Village of Champlain, and 8,000 for the town of Champlain.
Nice.
So she wants to finish up, or wants approval by our next March meeting. So it looks good.
Brian, can I just see it for a second, because I
Sure.
did want to mention one thing, because I had time to take a look at this being retired. And so I wanted,
I didn't have time to look at it.
I bet you did.
Well, coming today, leaving the door, Sarah mentioned that she sent that, and I go, I didn't see it, but
I saw it when I got back here.
The one piece that she did mention is that she was still waiting on quotes for the NTRT area, but there's still nothing here in terms of the actual cost for those traffic delimiter posts that are supposed to go along Prospect.
Yeah.
And for me,
Okay.
that is almost a priority with this particular safe streets. And there's nothing included in that area.
I
So I
think
wanted to
that's
point that out.
yeah, our top priority actually is that, because it's a safety issue.
Right.
And I really think we need to see them.
So she didn't list them in the budget at all?
She didn't list a quote for those, and so
Are
she's
they-
already got the amount up over, close to 2/3 of what the grant amount is for the town. So I think it's important that we identify what that cost is, so we can determine where we have to
Yeah.
cut,
Yeah.
if we have to
I'll,
cut.
We can get copies of that before today. before
Yeah,
we-
the only problem is, our printer does do color,
Mhm.
but maybe Julie knows how to do it. It's top secret because it is, because it's very expensive and we have a
Oh, yeah.
limited amount of pages we can print in color monthly, so. But it's kind of needed here because you're supposed to ignore this and only,
Correct.
so I can, with Julie's help, maybe I can try and print that and give that to.
If not, I got a yellow highlighter, we'll highlight that.
Resourceful.
Highlighter.
There you go.
We'll
Where
save
are
it.
those?
That's good.
And,
Is that all you had? Were you gonna speak on,
I was just gonna ask you if you, on the, resolution for the bridge, or not?
no, we'll get to that in
Okay.
new business.
I think that's it. Well,
Well, if not, you can jump back in.
And we shouldn't forget about the judges, but. I'm
That's
sure
what you're gonna speak about.
That's the part.
That's what you're gonna,
Okay.
I asked you to speak about, yes.
Okay, that's what I
Go
couldn't
ahead.
remember. As you know, John LaBounty, he put his resignation in for the end of last month. Currently, our town judge, Kevin Triller, is doing both jobs. So it doesn't appear at this point that there's a problem. We don't need to really do anything other than we may have to do some budget transfers, because according to the law, if you're doing the work, you must be paid accordingly. So the salaries have to be the same for both judges, and since he's doing the work of both judges, he would get that salary. They have changed the law, so there are some exceptions, although you'd have to use the eye of a needle to find the exceptions.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, you're just looking at, you might as well,
Mhm. That's how
Okay, yeah.
that's how I found it too. But I don't think it'll cause a transfer, because it's gonna come out of the same budget. He's just gonna
Well,
have to change the increase in his
it might, he's
salary.
gonna have to increase his benefits. You know, he's probably paid at a different benefit package because he's already retired from a state agency, and, you know, other things like that. I mean, there's gonna have to be some.
Yes, I believe that, well, I believe it's, I understood Sarah correctly, and it's just gonna save us a few dollars in benefits.
I'm sure somehow something will happen. And if in the future, Kevin chooses not to continue doing that, then we would petition the Office of Court Administration to see if we
Right,
could
But
get a judge.
he needs to do that, though. It needs to come
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah, but that might happen, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So,
We do the petitioning though. We're the ones that have to ask the Office of Court Administration.
not according to Mr. Labonte.
Well, we
And
can check.
I didn't get that from, was it Nick,
Yeah.
the liaison between the two courts?
Yeah, I got his name here.
What I did get from him was that it's gonna have to come from Kevin if he can't handle the caseload. And
We
then,
do the
and then they would choose
Yeah.
with him which judge would fill in. The way I understood it, it's not our choice. I did call Chris and ask him if he would consider it, and he said he would, so we have.
Well,
we have,
I'll look into that further and find out exactly.
Chris Lattimore that is willing to.
Because talking to different sources, you get different answers, and
Right.
it's,
Is there a conflict of interest with his present position serving as clerk administrator for the village of Rouse's Point?
No, apparently not.
Okay,
He's currently justice in Chazy.
correct. I just didn't know if there was some lap there that.
I think as long as he doesn't vote on the laws, it's not a conflict. If he was having a say in whether the law passed or not, then there would be a conflict, because he'd be passing a law and possibly acting on it, but I don't think there's a conflict.
In general, right?
Okay.
Any-
How did Kevin feel in terms of, you know, it seemed like the actual numbers when Sarah sent them out, looks like they're down a little bit. So it seems that's why the caseload is workable.
Yeah.
At first he wasn't sure. The first time I spoke with him, and a week later he came back and he goes, no, he said that I am willing and able to do this, so
Okay.
that's where we're at.
Oh, that's good. Right now, everything's good.
Yeah.
Anything can change, you can go break a leg, or, you know, I mean,
Oh.
a million things.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
So-
that'd be good.
Of course, we're gonna have an election,
Right.
and so we're gonna need people to consider running for this. If anybody's interested, they're gonna need to, I would suggest that they come find, meet with Kevin, maybe sit in court, find out what they're up against. But,
And they will have to take the training, if they are elected in November, they have to take the
Yes.
training. before they take office in January.
Correct.
So that's something. And, oh, and the term is for 4 years.
Mhm.
Judicial law is so different than town law, it's crazy. Where Ann has to run again, because the terms don't change, they're
Yeah,
two.
here you don't fill out the remaining of a term,
Right,
basically. You start a new 4-year term.
with the judges.
Right.
Yeah, so, we were temporarily worried about, the judges were on a 2 4-year cycle. Both judges ran for 4 years at the same
At the
time.
same time? Oh.
Yeah, so if there were some big upset or something, you'll have 2 new justices. But this will help us in that it'll be staggered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it'll be a 4-year term, starting January 1. So that, it is a good benefit, I mean, side thing. 'Cause at first I was told I couldn't do it, and then there was a little bitty exemption. If you
All it
resign,
takes.
yeah, I know. Court law is different, we can't do that for any
Anywhere else.
reason,
Yeah.
for elected town officials that aren't in courts. It never ends, there's always something. But so far, it looks good, you know,
That's where we're at.
that's where we're at.
Let's see what happens.
So when will we start to advertise for that?
Well, I wonder if it's something we need to advertise or not, because this is a person that has to run for office,
Correct.
which generally is a function of the parties or an
Okay.
individual to run independently. But normally,
Is it more of a function of the Board of Elections?
well, it's not a function of
Right.
us.
Not the town.
Not the town, because it would create kind of a
Okay.
presumption of favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, Annie wants to run for judge, that's great.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean, it's better for the local political parties and or the Board of Elections to announce the,
Agreed.
Candidacy.
you know, it's the way it's worked for all the positions. I mean, you know, somebody wants to run for town council, or secretary, town clerk, tax collector, they just come in, you know?
But we can state here in the meeting that there is.
Oh, yeah,
There is a
Interest.
justice position open, and,
in the
there
fall,
will-
there'll be an
For the
election.
fall election for November. Anyone's interested, you need to start looking into it. Okay. Okay, Brian, thank you. Rick?
Few things. One, at the last meeting, you'd asked me about chain of command in terms of water emergencies, notification list.
Yes, that's
I
right.
wanted to cover that with not only the members here, but also for the people in the public that are watching this. So if there is a water emergency, and I'm gonna have Sarah put this on the website, Chris Matop, the code enforcement officer, will be the first contact. If he cannot be reached, the second contact is Alan Racine. The third contact is Mike Joliker. The fourth is the Village of Champlain on call, their pager. And then the last one, of course, is our town supervisor, Tom Tremblay. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I covered that with you.
Yep, thank you for bringing that up.
Yep. That was a piece that we had left off.
Yes, we did, and it fell off my radar, so thank you.
We mentioned about putting that in the water bills, didn't we, at some point?
We talked about it.
We did, and we said that would be, you know, advantageous to do at least once a year. I think to
Makes
just
sense.
make people aware of what that.
Yeah, and put it up on your fridge.
Correct,
Can
correct.
we do that, Julie, with our next billing, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the EDU bills go out tomorrow, do you want it in the EDUs or the water?
The water.
Let's do it in the water. Let's keep them separate.
Yeah, because some of your EDU accounts don't have water.
Correct.
So, right, one reason to do it separate.
Correct, so, also in addition to, underneath the EDU commissioner responsibilities, I think we've got a final draft of this, or a final manuscript copy of this correspondence to send out to the water board that will kind of address the town's thoughts and positions. I did send that to everybody today in an email to kind of oversee. So please look that over. If you have any questions, please let Tom or I know.
Yeah, well,
I sent it out in two forms. I sent it out in a PDF format
anyways,
for Brian, and, because I know you don't have Word,
I like
maybe
PDF.
others might not.
oh, is that why? I was wondering why.
And I also sent it out in a Word format, so that is one thing that I did wanna kind of point out. In terms of emergency preparedness, I've started to, familiarize myself more with CMO and NEMA and become familiar with the emergency management process. At the present time, one thing I am looking into is possibly letting Sarah know about NY Alert, and maybe even putting that on the town's website so that people can be familiar with any types of emergencies that, are of importance. So that's all I've done in terms of the emergency preparedness, other than take a look at what was sent out recently, and Tom, you're probably gonna talk on this, is the addendum to the public employer health emergency plan for the town of Champlain. So that kind of goes hand in hand with that. As far as the fire liaison, I've been in touch with both Chris Tremblay as well as Mike LeBlanc, and I'm already receiving minutes from the fire district, and so I can keep us abreast as far as what's going on with inside of the fire district. I've gotten all their contact information, so at this point in time, there's really nothing to report in that respect. So,
Do we still get their calls every month?
yeah, we're supposed to. I didn't see anything this month
Yeah,
for
that's
that, and so I don't know if that just got overlooked, but that's something I
Yeah,
think
I
that
haven't seen it either.
I didn't see it this month. So I know we got something last month,
Mhm.
so, I think that's all that I have.
Okay, I got something to add to that, if you don't mind,
No.
Jason, because it just jogged my memory. I spoke with Mr. Donnie when he was in here a week or two ago about the trail. We had questions when we met on the trail. If you remember, what would happen if someone had an emergency there? So I've got to get a map of it, and we're gonna identify the different entry points. So in other words, think of it as this. We'll start at Elm Street in Champlain. That would be a pin right there, so that would be an address point.
Okay.
And then maybe, where would the next one be? On Pocket Boulevard, I believe,
Right,
right?
yeah, one across the road.
Yeah, and we probably could even do the one, there's a spot off Cherry Street, I don't know if we wanna add that, it's pretty close, but anyways, there would be, like, at Pocket Boulevard, it would be a west address point, and then an east of address point, and so on, okay? And then what he'll do is he'll pin that with a GPS and get it to the EMS. So we'll have to make signs, because we'll have to hope that people pay attention to them, because if they're walking the trail and they know that they're on the west Pocket section of the trail,
Right.
and they are having a
Heart
health
attack.
emergency, and they call
Right.
911, they can tell them where they're located, and then they'll have to get there, and he's gonna have to coordinate with the fire department to get the EMS personnel there, because they can't drive an ambulance down the trail.
So what did they suggest for getting down the trail? Four-wheeler or something?
Yeah, they'll use the fire department.
But they're aware, I mean, that's good if they're aware that that's what they need to bring.
That's what this is about. I need to get this map out to him, and he's gonna try to get it prioritized so he can get with the fire department. But it wouldn't hurt to let them know that, Rick,
Correct.
if you attend a meeting, that we're
Okay.
working on this,
Right.
and make them aware that, if there was an emergency there, the EMS are most likely gonna need them unless they happen to be close to one of those points.
And I know Champlain Moore's just recently bought a type of small all-terrain vehicle that would allow them to be able to, move along those particular aspects of the trail.
Does that concern with emergency services align itself with the grant in terms of signage and safety? like east versus west, as you were just saying, or?
Yeah, we could probably incorporate that.
Just a
hope-
question.
I would mention it to Melina, I would agree.
I will.
Because this sounds like a very big safety thing, I guess you don't really think about being out on the
Until
trail
it
at night
happens.
until it happens, yeah.
Yeah, but in my discussion with him, he, thought the sign should be something like, in emergency, you are entering, West Pocket Boulevard, for an example, or entering East Pocket Boulevard, and then, 276. It's primarily just for those sections that are kind of lost in the countryside. So yeah, I'll talk to Melina about that, shoot her an email. I'll respond to, haven't looked at that one tonight yet.
Well, as, I say this, I was at Rouse's Point's village meeting last night, and they had a public hearing, and it was brought on by Mr. Donahue about making sure numbers were correct, and making sure there's not an overlap of names, but his point was that there needs to be always proper signage. It needs to be clearly labeled, and numbers need to be visible at all times in order to allow emergency services to do their job effectively.
Right.
So I guess the trail is something that it is our responsibility to make sure it has that information on it.
Yeah, and he did give us kudos. He said, kudos for you guys to forward think that and think safety, because
Right.
he goes, hasn't been. So there's so many trails in this county that are forgotten about, so it's a great thing. So yeah, I'll email Melina and let her know what we're doing and see if that can be incorporated too.
Okay.
But we also want something left
Sure.
for our posts. Thank you,
Hard
Rick.
to stretch everything,
Yes,
you
you're
know,
welcome.
all that way.
Jason,
Okay, so so like Rick was saying, there's nothing to report for zoning board, information as the liaison. I did reach, Tracy DeCoste, and she told me they meet on the, third Thursdays of the month, if there's business to be done, if there is business to be had, so. And I requested if I could be included in their correspondence or in their notifications, just to make sure that I'm aware of when the meetings are and if they have business, so I can, I said I make myself available.
yeah, and I'd asked Julie to do the same, to include you in any emails regarding a meeting that is gonna be happening.
Yes, that would be great. So, so when I go to my first meeting, I'll be able to report back. So the other thing I'll do before I do the marketing, because that's my longest bit, Hometown Heroes, that'll be my next committee report. So the Hometown Heroes banner program that the town of Champlain is underway with, we had a committee meeting at 4:30, Tuesday, February 1st. Members present, Jane West, Ann Lapierre, Sarah Gagnon was here, myself, and Melody Tremblay. Melody was a very integral part to our meeting. She walked us through the process of what she had worked on for 2 years for the village of Champlain. And her knowledge and her resources were really invaluable, to the point that the committee didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So she was very kind to join the committee, offer up her resources, and bring us on the path of basic, we're ready to roll. So we made the changes at that meeting, and the application is available. So I want to specify on camera here, for anybody who would want to participate in this program, we have applications available here at the town office. We're working on getting them on the website. That's the next phase of things. Or you can contact the office here. Sarah Gagnon is our contact person. She will then email you if you would prefer to have an electronic version of the application. It is a great opportunity for those who have served in any branch of the military at any time, who are connected to the town of Champlain, and all of that is specified in the application. And many thanks to Melody and the committee members for the work that we did get done. So the application is ready to go. We even picked the design of the banner.
Nice.
Yeah, so we made a lot of headway. We have a possible meeting scheduled at the end of the month based on application numbers. We were trying to stay on top of the applications as they come in, basically, we have to go through them and approve them. And we don't wanna have too many applications ahead of us, so if we get enough, we're gonna have that meeting at the end of the month. So that is to be continued, but anybody out in the community that would like to be part of the committee is more than welcome to attend that meeting, and we'll try to publicize that as soon as we know when it is. And just as a talking point here, Rouse's Point, it was announced last night at the meeting, Rouse's Point started their Hometown Heroes, and they had 75 applicants. Yes. That's, so we may, I don't know if we'll get, I mean, that's a concentration population center, although we have more people living in the town, but if people know about this, we may have quite a few.
I think
We may have quite a few applicants.
It's very popular,
Yeah. So, so anybody needs more information, please contact the town office here, and we'll get you whatever you need for our Hometown Heroes program. We are hoping to get all the applications in by the 11th of March. That's the key here. 11th of March, because we need time to review them, and then we need time to order all of the materials so we can have them available to be put up for Memorial Day. That's the goal, is to have them all printed, ready to go, all of the hardware up on the poles, and we also have that work to do as well. We need to know how many people and how many banners we're putting up, and we have to designate where they're gonna go in the township, and that has to be coordinated with NICEAG and DOT. So there's a little bit of coordination that's gotta happen, so that's why the earlier we get your applications,
The better.
the better.
Should we talk about the route that you've chosen?
Yes, it's going to include Route 11, the main corridor through Route 11, and Route 9. I think we kind of established near, I want to say Honeymore's Corners or so. And then Route 9B is also going to be included in, so it's going to go through Coopersville. It's also going to include 9B. So it's.
Don't forget Perry's Mills.
And, well, actually, that was not on our list. See, this is why we're talking about this. So let me add that into our list of things to include Perry's Mills. Good catch, Brian.
Especially if you get applicants from there.
Yes,
But
yes, we will, yes, that's a good catch. So we will do, I guess that would be the North Star Road, right? That would probably be the logical spot, or,
The Perry's Mills Road might be a good one too.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I probably don't have it named right.
Yeah, well, and by the recreation park too would
Yeah,
be an
yeah,
excellent place.
yes.
which is a section of Dubois Road. Yeah, depending what you get there, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty valid. So I'll bring that to the committee, and we'll adjust our, especially if we're gonna get large numbers and where they're coming from. I think that's excellent. So yeah, so it's a pretty large span. We would try to hit
Yeah.
major traffic areas where the banners could be appreciated by the most number of people. And when you have the Village of Champlain with theirs up, you'll have the Village of Rouse's Point with theirs up, and then you'll have the Town of Champlain. It will be a true Hometown Heroes Festival for all of the participants. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty amazing, I think. Yeah, so we're very excited to offer this to people, but that was a good catch.
Is it on the application when the money has to be due?
I believe it's at the time of the application itself.
Okay.
So it's, people are wondering about a cost. It is $225, and the $225 pays for all of the hardware, it pays for the printing of the banner, which is double-sided, and the applicant gets the banner after it has spent a minimum of 2 years. We're looking at a 2-year time frame, so they spend 2 years out on the polls, and then that banner is given to the family or whomever went through the application process.
And the hope is to recycle with more applications.
That is absolutely correct. The goal here is to have this as a continuing, flowing process where we will have applications open, at the beginning of the year, go to a certain point, and then we will print all the new banners as we go through the process, so.
Jason, I hate to drag this out, would you talk about where we're gonna store them? Is that something you look into in the wintertime?
Yeah, we have realized that we do need storage, and we're not 100, I don't believe that has been determined yet. I think it's about numbers at this point. It's a possibility if there are, say, 50 banners, those could probably be stored in a relatively close location.
Is this something you need to check with Alan on?
Yeah, I think that would probably be helpful.
Okay.
You know, I suppose if there's enough of them, yeah, you'd need more than, say, a closet. You probably would need some kind of storage facility, whether it's on-site
Well, I
or
just know we
someplace
don't
else.
have a lot of good places to store stuff like
Sure,
that,
sure, right,
so that's why,
yeah.
I think it's a good discussion to have with them, what we
Yes.
should do.
And if they're gonna be hanging, or if they're gonna be returned to the families, it'd be nice if they could hang so that they don't lose any
Yeah, yeah,
degradation to the
like
material and the.
stored properly.
Correct.
I don't disagree with that. So yes, that's definitely something, and we can also reach out,
On the corner of the shop somewhere.
right,
You're in.
we can reach out to Plattsburgh and, Shazy, and we can just find out like how they do storage and, you know, what problems they've occurred with, in terms of that. as
Yeah,
well.
so the village has that upstairs at the office, and you know, a lot of available space, that's where they store those as far as the house.
Yeah, you know, it worries me like mice, you know what I mean? You gotta
Right.
kind of watch where you store them, because they could go right through them and you wouldn't even know it. you
And I'm
know
not
what I mean?
sure where Rouse's Point's gonna store those, I would imagine the rec center, but I can't be
Yeah,
100% sure.
That wasn't addressed last night.
Right.
That would, we can ask Charlene that, to find out if, you know, if they've addressed that. They may not have thought of that either, so.
Right.
Especially at 70 plus, that's gonna require some kind of storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a-
They're very good size, the dimensions are on there, I mean, they're
Okay, I
very,
wondered.
yeah, they're very good sized pieces. You're not talking, I mean, to be able to be seen.
30 by 60?
30 by 60, so to be seen by driving vehicles,
For sure.
they're relatively large, yes.
I agree with you, Rick, it'd be nice if we could find, whatever we decide to do for space, if we could hang them instead of just laying them in a pile, or,
Right.
and you'd have less chance of rodents.
And I would imagine you can actually accommodate many more than what the village of Rouse's Point did. I know they approved all 74, and the one person actually that lived in another residence, so that person's still gonna be a hometown hero, but just in another township or another village. So I'm sure you're gonna get a lot more than 75.
Yes, it's the reason why we haven't gone forward with NICEAG and DOT about the poles, because we don't know how many we're gonna need at this
Right.
point. So
Yeah,
we're-
yeah, you have to get a number first.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, we've got one, because we're applying for my grandfather, so.
that's
Nice.
wonderful.
We're
That's
our
great.
two best.
Yeah, yeah, great. I think this is it's gonna be a great opportunity to really honor those. And we should also mention, they do not have to be deceased, they can be alive.
Mm-hmm.
And
It-
kicking?
Yeah, they can be alive and kicking, they do not need to be deceased, so
Oh,
they.
yeah, they can be,
Yeah, they can be
Just
alive, yes,
discharged or whatever.
that's right. Any military service, combat or not, any branch, and that also includes the reserves as well.
Correct.
Alive or deceased or retired or whatever. So there is the limit, you know, it could be something from 200 years ago. If you know you have a relative that served in the military and that's who you'd like to honor, or World War I is another good example. I mean, people can honor anybody as long as they can give us enough documentation that proves
And a
that's
photograph.
correct. And we do need a photograph, that's key,
Correct.
because their picture will be on the banner, that's correct.
That was my biggest problem, is they don't really want cell phone photos. They want actual pictures.
Need high res, yes.
High res, and it's
JPEGs.
like, I don't know, my cell phone camera's got more resolution than my camera ever did. You know, it's
The
just,
newer ones do.
because I have some people that would be interested in doing it, but
And we were looking into the company that is, that's working with the village of Champlain in terms of the production. And we're gonna insist that if they receive information, like a picture that just doesn't work when they go to blow it up and it's too grainy or the resolution's not good, that they would let us know so we can get them a better version of things, so, yeah. We were told, Melody told us that scanning actually does a pretty good job. So if you have an old photograph, or if it's we were even told if it's any kind of even of a Xerox, if we scan it, it actually creates, yes, it actually can create a high resolution.
It's amazing what you can do.
Yeah, I would call it JPEG, or it's like basically a high resolution picture that they can then use on this banner. So don't be bashful with the materials you have. So yeah. Next on my list is the marketing committee. Supervisor Trombley talked about this earlier, but there was a town-village meeting between the mayors and the supervisor. And you did have that discussion to try to create this marketing aspect that we're looking to build in our great township, okay? Trying to work on, so the villages are working on their budgets right now, so that's one of the big things we're trying to move forward here is, that was Rouse's point, said that, they said, give us some numbers, we need some numbers. I gave them, we had talked on the phone about the budget, I threw out the number to them, and I think they were a little shocked, but I said it's a joint effort, it's not just you, and we're looking at phasing this over some time too as well, and so I think when they understood that we weren't looking for huge, large sums of money in one shot, I think they were more agreeable to that. But they also realized that it's gonna be good money spent towards a good cause. So the budget, and marketing goals that we're looking to address, as Supervisor Trombley had mentioned, we're gonna be meeting with Christy, and Annie and I are gonna be meeting with Christy Kennedy. She's the VP for Marketing and Business Development for the North Country Chamber of Commerce. And our meeting is scheduled for next week, and we're very excited to meet with her and kind of bounce some ideas and listen to what she's done, what she has to say, and then kind of what we're looking for, and kind of the melding of minds.
It's gonna be a good meeting, because I spoke with her on the phone, and she's got a lot of great ideas.
Oh, good.
You know, some of them, if you don't mind me interjecting,
Sure.
some of hers are tying this webpage that we're gonna build, this combined webpage with the two villages, will be tied into, I Love New York, Adirondack Coast. So it's gonna be out there throughout the state.
Sure.
And beyond.
Which is what we want, right?
Mhm.
We know the gem we have here. We need to let other people know about it.
Correct.
Right.
So some of our goals or marketing aspects that we want to address include, but not limited to, we're looking to seek development in marketing firm. We're looking to try to work with some kind of a firm, or maybe multiple firms, in order to help us promote, create, maintain materials, social media accounts, websites, listings, creation of commercials or public service announcements, as we try to increase our outreach and trying to be more resourceful with that. So we're doing a lot of stuff in-house or ourselves, but it's, we have limitations to what we can produce and what we can, as much as I want to say that I can make a movie, I can't make a movie. I need somebody else to, so
Yeah.
it's those kinds of situations. And having, as you mentioned, a better functioning website, that we're not having to maybe go through 4 stages in order to get something changed, and those kinds of situations. Merging the websites. This is, I think, a crucial aspect. Merging the websites and other online marketing efforts into one cohesive portal for all aspects of town, village, community marketing connectivity. I think this is like one of my big things here, is that how do we make the website we have for the town and the websites we have for the 2 villages, how do we turn that all into one magic website that can do a whole host of things?
Yeah, and that's what I laid out to in my meeting with the mayors, and everybody's in agreement.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does, it
You
makes
gotta
sense.
make it user-friendly, because if it's not user-friendly, they can't go seamlessly from one thing to the next. They're not gonna use it.
Correct, correct. And if we create this magic portal that includes all of the business that all 3 municipalities are doing, figure the local residents are gonna be driven there because they can pay bills there, they can access the social media accounts from there, they can email people when they have questions, and then that drives greater interest beyond our community. I really think that,
True.
I really feel like this is an important step in moving, kind of, I don't say into the 21st century, but this, you know, if you look at other townships, you look at other municipalities and what their websites are offering, what we're doing throughout the 3 municipalities is just, that's not enough. I mean,
Yeah.
plain and simple, it's not enough.
Can you talk to the 3 phases of the, or 3 aspects that we're trying to capture, you know, between residential
Yes.
and,
Yeah,
talk
okay.
about, sorry,
No, it's okay.
I'm excited about it too.
Yeah, we're looking to have regular meetings with vested individuals, businesses, partnerships, and other relationships that are deemed necessary for the further growth of our town's notability, our outreach throughout the local, state, national, and even international scopes. That's something that's really big for us. That we're not just gonna be like, okay, we'll figure this out. We're gonna try to do this on a regular basis, continuously, trying to meet. How do we engage our friends to the north? How do we let people know in Albany how wonderful it is to be up in Rouse's Point voting, right? Like, those are the kinds of things we need a greater connection. And this, like, I love New York, and, you know, wouldn't that be something if you see Rouse's Point, New York on that I Love New York commercial? I think that would just be an amazing aspect that we're overdue for.
I agree.
Increased levels of events, whether they are small or large, but we increase the level of events. Positive talk about occurrences, like people are buzzing about things, getting media coverage, other notable happenings that occur here or what we want to occur here, creating a buzz and an interest within the community and other people talking about our community. I think that's a key. Long-term financial and ethical sustainability. This is a little, like, it's a hodgepodge kind of statement, but the idea that we are thinking about what financially we're putting towards this and making sure that it makes sense. And we're thinking about it long-term, not just throwing a couple bucks at it now, but thinking about this becomes something we're looking at for the long term. As well as, I say ethical, making sure that we're doing things that are, I guess, sound environmentally, sound in terms of promoting diversity, sound in terms of thinking of our neighbors to the north, and also ethical when thinking about the people who are currently work for the town, and making sure we're not burning them out and requiring too much of them, and, you know, those kinds of situations. Focus on current positive features of our township to try to promote residential growth, with consideration on, so that's the main focus, is like thinking about bringing people to want to live here, build a house here.
Residential is your first phase?
Yeah, I believe that's where we're gonna start.
If we, yeah, that'll be phase 1. We're gonna concentrate on that, trying to get people to live here, to wanna live
Yeah.
here, and to wanna buy real estate and.
Border's the
Build
perfect
houses.
case in point. I mean, there's a lot.
So if we have to phase it out, that's what we consider phase 1 being the most important aspect.
Mhm.
And then we go into the other 2 phases.
Right. So that was, yeah, I didn't write in as phases, but it's just, yeah, it's just,
There's three highlights to this whole system we're trying to build, and that's to promote residential life here, a great way of life, a great place to raise your children. Recreation, look at all the recreation that we have available, both summer and winter, and then businesses. Look at all of our small businesses, our available jobs, our large businesses such as the border, that'll be
Sure.
definitely showcased in there.
yes,
Those are the 3 pieces of the puzzle,
yes,
and if we have to phase it out, I see it as those 3 chunks.
yes.
And Jason, you had mentioned this last night at the meeting, these 3 phases, and that's the only reason that I said that about the residential. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
So Rouse's Point does have some insight, and I know my wife, she's a social media hog, if I can call her that, and she loves to get out there and see what's being said in the community, and I can tell you that there's some people in the village that are very excited about this, and they wanna know where we're going with this.
Really,
So,
already?
Yes, already.
That's wonderful.
Great,
So that's good.
That's exciting.
this is already the buzz, right? We're already starting the buzz. So focus on residential growth with then a consideration in other phases for bolstering tourism, recreation, commercial development, and then as council members and the other municipalities, our increased awareness of any infrastructural additions or upgrades or growth that might be needed over the course of time.
I like that.
Starting to think about the planning out phases, right? If we're gonna want all of these people to come here, we might need to think about what do we need to make sure that that happens securely, safely,
We need a place for them to stay.
well, this is
For one
what, these
thing.
are some of the, exactly.
Hotel or motel?
Exactly.
Well, we're gonna
They talked
work
about
towards that as well, alongside of this.
Mhm.
I need to find a meeting with Molly next week. I wanna find out if the county already has any traffic data or not that I can use. But we're gonna start working towards that. I don't make any promises, but. And to add to that, just so you know, I should add it probably in my report, I actually wrote a grant for this because Molly had sent it to me and I had 5 days to do it. And as you know, I'm not here 8 hours a day. So I threw a dart at the board. It's been submitted, it's been accepted.
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I put a little note here at the
Fingers
bottom,
crossed.
yeah, so,
Well, it'd be a miracle. I mean, first grant I ever wrote and I didn't have a lot of time to put into it.
still.
But
Well, we have to start somewhere.
it's in there,
It's
you know,
a
it's,
step in the right direction.
as Jed said, sitting here today, 100% of the grants that you don't apply for, you don't get.
Very true. Very
I
true.
only have a few more and then I can stop talking.
Okay.
So continued effort to further develop shared services between all the municipalities and the township, as well as with the county or with the state, any way that we can do that in order to help each other out, so to speak.
Right.
It's, all for one, one for all kind of type mentality. I took this from Rick in a previous meeting, but the creation of like a think tank, and a think tank session kind of, or various think tank sessions where we have an effort to pull in community stakeholders of all kinds into the conversation that we're having and the development of the marketing of our town. What are they looking for? What would they like to see? What kind of ideas are they bringing to the table? Whether they're business owners or they're the family that loves the area and would say, hey, you need to promote this. This is why we love this spot, getting some of that feedback. And partnering with other established entities who have connections and experience, which can help us deliver the goals and our desired outcomes as stakeholders. So we're not alone trying to find those people that can help us. And thanks to Tommy, you mentioned that he put together a little grant writing, so if that comes about to help us
Well, it's a
do
good,
a little bit of studying to find out about things, but yeah.
well, it's a good start, it's a good exercise, because if we do this in phases and we're working at this for a few years, it'll give us time to apply for more,
Mhm.
maybe get more help towards financing it.
In terms of the sustainability, have you had any discussion at all in regards to that? Because some municipalities, what they do is they actually assess a tax on the actual people within inside the municipality to kind of see this moving forward. And you don't look at it as a tax as much as you do as an investment in your community to try to continue to kind of see this grow. Because there's a lot of great phases here, and it's gonna require a financial commitment to really see this through.
Right, so we have some funding in the budget, very little, and there is, we could probably match what we have in there. We have $3,000 in there, easily out of our fund balance. So we have a start, okay? But you're right, this year at budget time, we'll probably have to budget more towards this to,
Make it happen.
oh yeah, it's gotta be done, as Jason said once in a meeting, it has to be done right once. Let's do it right one time, let's spend the money and do it right, let's not make it fall short.
Right, right. And in a lot of places, what they do is they start something like this, and then it fizzles out because there isn't that continued commitment to see it.
Well, yeah, 'cause
see it
it's gonna
through.
need maintenance.
Correct.
And so on. I want calling it maintenance, but it's gonna need maintenance for years to keep, even after those third phase is done, to keep building it.
Yes.
So, yeah, so, have you contacted either of these, organizations yet that we were talking about?
I have my
Producer?
calls in, I have not received actual information
Good.
from them about, but it's in, so yes.
Good.
Hopefully that we'll have more of that when we meet, next week.
Oh, that'd be great, thank you.
So.
Good stuff,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's great stuff, yep.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
We need to keep that momentum going.
yes, yes. If we're excited, we're excited, the community is gonna be excited.
True.
So I think, we're the catalyst for what could be. And then the last thing on here for the highway, just to echo your sentiments, great applause and cheers for the hardworking highway crew for that. It basically was a 2-day storm, right? So they had to work.
Yeah, and it's been, actually, for the last month, the wind has been wrecking havoc on the
Sure.
roads for them
Sure.
That wind is
every day.
horrible.
And when I get to the superintendent's report, I must as well give it to you now, the wind blows every weekend. It's always on the weekend, he's out all weekend long.
Oh my
You know, I
gosh.
mean, one night he was out, he never went to bed, he was
He
out
doesn't get any sleep.
taking care of Point Fair and the, in Cooperville, the
Mason
landing
Road.
road,
Yeah,
the short,
you get it coming off the lake there.
you know, by Menard's Farm there, going
Oh,
down.
Yeah.
that shore road?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, he was on Mason Road too.
he was on Mason Road too,
Oh, that
plowing with
road
his
is just like
pickup
the Lake Shore Road.
Yeah.
in between the cycles of the plow going through, because it would plug within 15 minutes.
right.
Oh my goodness.
He needs
So-
to be cloned.
Thank him when you see him, he went a whole night with no sleep.
Yeah,
Oh, I
so,
know.
as I often people in the community, when they see those plow trucks go by, give them a wave, because
Right.
they
Yes.
deserve it, they really do.
I wave to keep him away from the my driveway. I'm right here.
Or wait for your mailbox, maybe?
Careful.
No, I've got a state highway plow guy that, he sees me, every time he sees me, he just edges out and around. I just stand there at the edge of my driveway, please, please,
Oh,
please.
jeez.
Well, as I said to my wife, when the village went through with the plow, they went a little bit deeper, almost a little bit into the lawn area. And at first I thought about it, and I was like, geez, they're pretty close to the lawn. And then I'm thinking, you know what, there'll be less snow in my driveway. I'm kinda glad they did that.
And Rick, that's probably a point we should make, we should also, pay homage to the two villages as well, with their highway
Yeah.
departments and their crews, they also are working hard to make sure that everybody can get out, even then when we're asked not to leave, that people can still get out on the roads.
Yeah, it's, if you think about what it was like when we were kids, the roads are taken care of 100%
Oh,
better.
you're right.
I know they didn't have the same equipment then, but, God, roads would be plugged for a couple of days, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah.
Times-
That's why more
at
people
time-
had
at times-
snowmobiles.
At times on the Hayford Road, you couldn't meet a car, it was so narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all the highway departments do a great job now.
They sure do.
People should consider themselves very lucky.
I do.
Is that it, Jason?
That's it,
Thank you.
So ends
Thank
the
you.
report.
Thank you. Annie, do you
Yeah,
have
that's
anything?
very exciting. Well, since we were gonna have this meeting, with Christie, I was looking at different, my husband says you can find anything you need to know on YouTube. Well, I sat through quite a few and enjoyed quite a few videographers,
Right?
professional videographers, not all of them professional, but, taking their pick, like, there was one, of course, I was interested where my daughter lives in Greenville, and she's not right in Greenville, but that's the major city around them. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they showcased and focused and kind of premiered all these things that you want to know about a new place to maybe settle or retire, or, I mean, I'm surprised at how many people that have come up here and retired. I mean, especially as you get older, it's more challenging to live up here,
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the winters are.
Well, they are a bear. And depending on where you live, it's worse than others, you know what I mean? But, I was fascinated by, now, I didn't know this, but in Montreal, they have a whole network of alleys that people's homes butt up to, and they have just blocked them off to thoroughfare traffic, and they have lovely gardens and stuff, so you can just walk through these alleys, and people have community places to meet back there and have little barbecues and stuff, and I had no idea all that went on, and that they've developed that. And I was thinking, well, there's probably things like that we could be, we don't have too many alleyways around here, but
But
there's
it's a good way to
different
find
aspects
ideas.
of things that we could be doing that,
So that probably gave you a picture of what we're trying to build, I'm sure, because,
it did, it gave me
Yeah.
some good ideas, and I thought, geez, they showed a lot of water pictures, like in Greenville, I had no idea it was so, I always think of the south as being kind of dry, but there was a lot of beautiful little waterfalls and stuff, and I was thinking, oh, just take some beautiful pictures around here, it's just so breathtaking. And we have all the potential, it's just marketing it properly. And finding, like you said, the funding in order to promote and to, develop some of these things so that we can accommodate people and what they would like to be doing up here.
it's gonna be money well spent,
Oh, yes.
I really believe that.
Yes, I do too.
It's gonna reap a benefit in the near future.
Well, look at the water situation in places in the south. The shift may come to up here because of just pure, practical reasons of, not being able to get enough water down in Arizona, or, we may be sitting on the mecca of,
True.
because it is lovely up here.
There is something to be said about possible changing to climates and where, yes, you're right.
It's happening. There's been a migration
Correct.
right out of New York State, when one of them, it's not an easy place to retire to, because it's a little expensive. And it depends on if you like winter sports. But we could have more of that type of thing that would be, I love that we have this rec center right in Rouse's Point. And we have, places for, over in our neighbors to the north, my husband used to like to take the kids, what's the name of that place? But it has, hills and stuff for them to sled, and it's
Yes.
a
Yes.
place for them to be out of the wind,
Right.
to warm up and then go back down again. Oh my gosh, they could have spent the whole day and half the night there. But we could do that. There's spots that we could do that with, and
And
have
not to
people-
steal from like Saranac Lake, but if you think about it like a winter carnival, look at what they do with their ice sculptures and things. There's a lot of things we could do. Our flea markets are great.
And
There's
it's
so many
bitter cold
things.
up there in Saranac Lake.
We used to have winter carnivals here.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
On the ice?
On the
Did
ice.
we do,
On the
we
ice.
do a lot of things on the ice? I
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
remember my kids going to things like that with
Snowmobile
Dan.
racing was one of
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
There was several outdoor events, and they always had a king and a queen and so on.
We
We could
certainly
get back
have
to
enough
that.
ice for everybody, and more. But I just thought, this is a good way of opening up people's eyes to what a gem this is here. If it was done right, But I think we did a very nice job putting that beautiful boardwalk thing that's over by my friend Cindy's house across the street. That's so pretty. If we had more places like that,
The
I like
one on
when-
Montgomery Avenue?
yes, yes.
Well,
uh-huh.
that's supposed to be the start of that boardwalk. I
The
mean,
pier, yeah.
Yeah.
they're, I've told, Jed and Chris the other day, continue working towards that.
Oh,
That
it's
needs to be-
lovely.
That'd be great to have that.
It's a
Yeah,
great
we gotta
backdrop
keep
for
looking
wedding
funding to
photographs.
get that transitioned up the lake.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, like a boardwalk,
Yeah, it would
that,
be, definitely. For tourism, we need it.
we do. We
So
need to
hopefully-
promote the
hopefully they pull
tourism
that
here.
off.
We don't have enough tourism at all to support, little restaurants and little, maybe an art gallery and, like you go up to Lake Placid, but it's all because, it is well promoted. And it does, they built up different things over the years. Of course, we didn't have the Olympics here, but that really, got them up off the ground.
Hopefully we work towards that.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Nope, that's
Okay.
it.
Well, that's great, I'm glad you did that research. We can share,
Well, I
share
enjoyed
it
it.
next week's meeting.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, Jason and I did a little bit, I think we met, and I was flabbergasted at what you can find out there. You know, the type of production they put out.
Right, yes.
Report from the town clerk. You're on, Julie.
So you have your monthly report that needs approval.
I make a motion that we approve the town clerk monthly report, January 1st through January 31st.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I should have said any discussion on it, I'm sorry.
And then Tom had asked me to go through the other municipalities to see what the cost of spade and neuter were, to see if the town wanted to increase.
Yeah, it was brought to our attention by the dog control officer,
Oh, Jody?
by Jody, that we were very,
Well,
very low compared to other townships.
How long when's the last time we changed the actual cost of these particular licenses?
it's been years. And I don't know exactly when, but I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years now, and it's been always the same.
I mean, it's not, a small increase isn't gonna, you know, take care of the salary for the dog control officer, but I mean, it's gonna help towards it, let's put it that way.
Defray some.
Right, and we don't have to move to, you know, the prices that some of these other municipalities are charging, but maybe even somewhere in the middle. You know, I'm just trying to,
Yeah, make it even dollars,
yes,
instead of these 50, you know, 7.5, 15.5. Somebody have a suggestion in the form of a motion?
I'm just thinking, I think it's, you know, affordable for folks to be able to move from spade and neuter to maybe even $9. And unspayed and unneutered to 18, but that's my thought.
I did check into it, and it just has to be done by board resolution.
Okay.
I
By
did,
resolution.
just by resolution, I did check, so according to the town law, it's just board resolution.
Yeah, so just a motion approved here at the,
Yes.
in the minutes, not a formal resolution, not a written resolution.
No.
Okay.
I'll second that motion, why wait? I mean, it seems to be something we need to do. It's not a big increase.
No, it's reasonable.
It's very reasonable.
And if you've made the comment that it hasn't been done in a considerable amount of time, then
Oh,
So it's been years.
I think it's probably the right time to do it then.
Yeah. Okay,
So 9 to 18.
so yeah, so we have a motion and a second to raise it 9 for spayed and neutered, and 18 for unspayed, unneutered. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
This will go into
Motion
effect.
carries.
Immediately, yeah. And then you have your utility billing register report for the EDUs, for the bills to go out, so I need approval for that for tomorrow.
Okay.
And all the changes were made,
Yep, I see that.
Yeah,
So-
we have
so there was an
total.
increase of 104.45
Correct.
of EDUs.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the,
I'll make that motion that we
Detailed
approve
billing.
this updated detailed billing register for EDUs.
And just so you know, there was 3 new customers added to that.
Yes. Okay. That's one of the things that when we met, Jason, I thought we had identified with Chris, kind of keeping us apprised of when those new customers came about, so we didn't have to go through this long list, and it would make it much easier. Maybe I can kind of coordinate that with you later and just kind of identify when that happens. Just some type of procedure process, so that we can kind of let people know, because we'd like to kind of, do this in quarters, so that we can meet the August 15th deadline.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I wanna say, Rick, that it was almost like we were gonna do a change year document, and we were just gonna be filtering them in as we went through, so when we went to go do the final one, it was
Correct.
all of it was pretty much already set up as they were coming in. I believe that is correct, so.
Yes, I thought we had, so.
Yes,
What are those 3 new ones? What were they?
It's just people that were in the district that had pieces of, like tiny pieces of land that just went unnoticed,
Okay.
right?
Okay, that's
Is
what I
what
was
it-
wondering.
what it
So-
was.
So they're just
And then like,
one,
for instance,
EDU
was,
accounts only then?
yeah, and for like, one Morris Racine, his house, his property got sold, the business, so his house wasn't in the EDU.
Okay.
So that was one, and the other 2 were just little pieces of land that were like, they're not even really buildable. And they, just went unnoticed. They were like, one was landlocked, the property, so,
Okay.
and these were in addition to the changes that we had made
Yes.
previously? Oh, so,
mm.
okay. So that's, yes.
It's the last 3. If you look on the very,
Right,
page 27,
yeah,
those last 3 are the 3 new customers. Those are the 3 new ones. And like the first one, his resident is actually in the village, I believe. But this piece of land is in the town.
Yes, this one I
I
remember.
remember that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do remember that, yeah, that was while reviewing the real property
Yeah,
map, yeah, we discovered that's, yeah.
yeah, because it's landlocked, his property, it's in the back. And
If I could suggest that as we move forward, if we could maybe include all new customers as the last page and separate, so don't combine them with any other prior customers, and then this way we will know, so.
Yeah,
That makes
well,
it easier.
most likely they will be because I create their numbers.
Correct.
So like the next one's gonna be 270.
Okay,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's in numerical order,
Yes.
so
Right.
that will fall there.
Mhm.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we got a motion, but I just need a second on the report.
On the report, yeah, I think we had a second. I don't think we closed it out though, so all in favor?
Who seconded it? I don't remember.
I'll second it.
Brian?
I'm pretty sure we had, but I think what happened was I went all in favor and then we moved on.
Oh, sorry, maybe I interrupted. I didn't get it. I know Rick made the motion, but,
Okay, any more further discussion on the report?
And just that these are reflective of the changes that we had said made
Correct.
aware for January 2022.
Correct.
Very good.
yes.
Yeah, the new customers on a separate page will make it much easier, where I can put this, this EDU
Report.
commissioner report together as I go, and so it's not last minute,
Yeah,
so it'll make it much easier, so I appreciate that, thank you, Julie.
Okay.
okay. So we'll finish this out. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried, it's approved.
And I don't have anything else.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Review and approval of the post audit bills, executive reports.
It was an expensive one.
Mm-hmm. Was.
Which ones it was? I'm just curious, and this probably isn't even related, but, I noticed a lot in terms of with the highway, as far as like, fleet repair and different things. What's a combo wafer? There was a combo wafer in the amount of $860, and I'm just clueless as to what that is. And I'm wondering what part that supplies to a vehicle and what it does.
Where was it? I can pull the bell.
It was on the bills, I can find it for you, you know,
Third page.
yeah,
It's on the,
About
3/4 of the way down. Or so with the one shovel, one combination wafer.
Yeah,
I just don't know. It's on the third page,
yeah, third page, I saw it too.
and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Who's it,
It was for Mid-State Industrial Supply.
It was. And 3 blazer lights, I assume were some sort of flashlight.
Yeah.
okay, there's the blazer lights. What is it? Combination wafer. I
Yeah,
know, it just says, they ordered 72 of them, and a part number, and it says 10 by 32 combination wafer.
are they like a filter
I-
of some kind?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It said-
I'm just trying to picture the size.
That's what it says, but I don't know.
if there were 72 of them, it's not that unreasonable of an amount,
No.
because that's a lot of, whatever it is, it's a lot of it.
Well, they were $11.95 a piece,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
but I have no idea. We can ask Alan what it is.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Alan.
Well, no.
So I'll keep this out, I'll ask him, and try to shoot you an email, okay?
Well, that's all right, I mean,
They're
it just,
$11.95 each. so,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, Alan already approved it. so
he did.
it's not
I'm just curious what it was,
Right.
I've never heard of.
There's a lot of things
Yeah.
you know.
And what is, I noticed there was a repair to Unit 13, which one is Unit 13 that they had to make that large repair to?
I think it's one of those 2 trucks that he's trying to replace.
Is that one
Yeah,
of the,
Looks like it is a brush, circular brush.
okay,
So it must go into something that, like when.
for the sand?
Probably, and I guess if you would need that many of them, then they're probably.
That's what I'm
Yeah, so-
believing.
yeah, probably for the
I
Sanders.
mean,
Okay, that makes sense.
At
So
least
was
that's
it-
what's popping up here, so if there's
Right.
somebody shouting on the other
What
end of the
can't you do
camera
with the
watching
internet?
this say, no, it's not
It
that, I
wasn't-
don't know,
It
but.
wasn't something you could eat.
No, I knew that, I knew that. Now you
No,
sound like my
wafer,
wife.
you didn't, maybe it was something you could eat.
What can't you find on the internet, right, Jay?
It's so
Yeah.
true.
Too much.
Well, I guess, yeah, so I guess just to
Especially
verify,
in
if you want to verify what that is, what it is, but that's what it looks like.
So a brush of some kind.
Yeah, like a circular bristled.
That's the only questions I had on the bills, so.
So we have a motion to approve in a second?
Not yet.
Okay, I need a motion to approve. The post audit bills as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the post audit bills as presented in the report.
Thank you. Anybody else? I can second it, if you'd like.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need to do roll call on this one? I think we
Okay.
should. Yeah, let's do roll call, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
and Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. And the approval of the monthly bills, the abstract.
$17 purchases, a lot of money.
Well, a lot of them are,
Contractual,
yes.
yes, yeah,
Correct.
yeah, the biggest one's the fire department,
Yep.
that is a chunk,
Yeah.
but they do a wonderful service, so.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I have no questions in regards to the abstract and the bills. If somebody doesn't have any questions, I'll make that motion that we approve the abstract.
Okay, thank you. second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion on it? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, we do roll call again.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries.
And the debt payment for the water,
It's on there, correct.
That's on there too, yes.
Yes.
Yes, well, it's such a big one. Between that and contractual. Approval of monthly bills, report from code enforcement officer, we've all been copied with that.
I was just wondering, as far as, he had mentioned the end of the line water checks and, the monthly report to the Clinton County Department of Health, I was just wondering what those numbers look like.
And we need to ask him to share those, because I don't know what they look like.
And one of the things that I had talked about with Sarah, and I think I had mentioned this to Chris, and I think also to you, Tom, is that, one of the recommendations in, to the water board and to the two municipalities is that there be some type of shared document, so that when these water testings are completed, it's not only dated, but you have results, and so it doesn't allow for redundancy where now all of a sudden, if the village has already gone out and done something, Chris doesn't know about it, takes the trip out there, and we're using resources where that doesn't have to occur.
I thought Chris was supposed to start that process with Mike.
I'm hoping he did, but I don't know, and I haven't checked with him.
I'll check with him.
And,
That needs to be started, we need to build that,
Right.
basically a spreadsheet that's gonna be shared.
Correct, just a Google sheet, be easy enough to kind of keep everybody apprised.
Correct.
I think if, it just Chris and Mike, and maybe if both the supervisor and the town are allowed access to view, so. Other than that, the only other thing I had on the code officer is, which 691 Route 11, water turn on and hookup, is that a residential, is that a commercial?
That's the old Garen, building.
Okay,
Oh, yes. Do we know what's going there, or?
No, I forgot to ask him what is actually in there now, so I'll have to ask that as well. But yeah, they're just setting up shop, wherever it is.
okay.
So they got that turned on, I believe it was early last week.
And Meridian Room, what's going on there?
That's the customs
The
station.
customs building.
Okay.
There used to be an old agricultural inspection station at the end of that road at the border.
Okay.
But apparently the government gave up the building because it just wasn't being used and it served no purpose.
I believe the owner's in Arizona,
Yeah. So
and I had asked Chris to contact him, and he's gonna have to follow up, I think, with
Okay.
violation, because the owner was kind of rude and basically told him he's not gonna be here for 2 years, and he's not worried about it. But it needs to be boarded up.
Right. Just for safety purposes?
Oh, yeah, it's all, it just keeps getting worse.
Right.
It's been vandalized, the windows are busted out of it.
Correct.
So yeah, I'll follow up with him on that as well. And that's how we, and as far as the info to that potential buyer, what it was after he made contact with the owner, somebody contacted Chris, and I think it went through me, but regardless, looking to buy it. I'm like, well, isn't that a coincidence? So I sent it over to Chris, and he checked on it, and I think he sent the guy pictures, because the guy was being told that it was ready to move into.
Oh,
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
And he wanted to set up some sort of commercial business there, but I think that's fallen through
Okay.
after he got the pictures of the building.
Okay. He's been very busy. It's a
Yeah,
very detailed
I know.
list.
I'm just surprised at all the things
Where he finds the time, I don't know.
I know, I'm surprised at all the stuff I've touched and kind of forgotten about, so I'm busy around here. Anyways, that's his report, any more questions on it? And we'll talk more in depth with a couple of the items on there when we get to them in here.
Okay.
Report from Highway Superintendent. Like I said, I asked him today if he had anything to share. He said, "Did I just share with him that it's windy always on the weekends?" I thought that was funny, so I wanted to make sure and share it.
And that crazy people call them in the middle of the
Yeah, they
night.
they get stuck at 2 AM. Correspondence, so North Country Gas Pipeline Emergency Contact List, this is just an update. I made sure that we shared it with the fire department and EMS.
I know, Tom, that in looking into the emergency preparedness, that other municipal websites include contact information on their websites.
Okay.
Is this something that we as a town have on ours?
I don't know the answer to that. I
don't think that's
I
on the-
don't think we have it on our site,
Okay.
but I don't wanna, but it should be, right?
Then Alan won't be the only one getting calls in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
You know, because when I receive this, it says to distribute the list to the emergency response entities.
Correct.
Example given, fire and police. So we made sure and distribute it to the fire district and the EMS. Do you think that you're suggesting we should put it on the website as well?
Well, there's just one number.
Correct.
24-hour-a-day number for non-emergency.
Correct. Right.
Just that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't put all of them. No, I don't think the pipeline supervisor, and, no, some of these others are not.
Okay.
But at least if there's a, you know, they can direct them in the, wherever
Yeah,
they need
well,
to be.
the other one's a 24-hour-a-day number.
Correct.
The other one's, you know, it's hit or miss.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, and it says that the dispatcher would normally notify all these
Correct.
appropriate personnel anyway, so I'll see if we can add that to the website. JCO report.
Yep.
I'll do that, so they've been pretty busy. And the emails from Matt Cooper answering the questions that we arrived with. And I'll leave that out, we may have to talk about that more in the new business. The Cipriani Energy Group, again, we'll probably talk about this more in detail, but, so this is their, and so you brought up the speed, I think, individually I've talked to the other three. So this is the same group that is currently installing the solar farm across from Hudson Headwaters.
Oh, yes.
And here they're telling us that they are looking to put another one in, which is at near Rouse's Point across from, it's a parcel across from Tim Pastel.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to get more details of exactly what parcel that is, but it apparently is that last one.
On Route 11?
On Route 11, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Oh, across, behind the house or across the street?
Across the street.
where currently there's a cornfield. So apparently it's 25 acres, so it's a decent sized chunk. That goes way back to the golf course, so I'm not sure what the road frontage portion of it is. So that spurred a lot of,
Controversy?
well, a lot of discussion, a lot of heartburn with me because that's, our Route 11 corridor is our prime commercial development. We put a water line in there. We're gonna be talking about someday putting a wastewater line in as well. We need to decide what to do about allowing solar farms to take up that corridor. You know? So I've contacted the Association of Towns. She got back to me just before you showed up here today, Brian. I was getting ready to leave. And tonight I printed off a couple examples. But yes, there are other townships in the state that have done this. They have done a moratorium to stall that development for a period of time. An example would be, 12 months. This particular one, I believe it was asked, they did an original 6-month period, then they did a revision to add 3 more months because they weren't ready yet. But during that time, you can investigate changing your zoning laws to try to fit the needs of the town in these areas that we're concerned about. She said the best way to do that, and I was going to bring this up with you sometime in the first 6 months in office, but I think we need to have a comprehensive plan drawn up for this town. And she said that's the best way to get to your zoning law and correct it is through the comprehensive plan. Because in that plan, you're gonna determine what you want in your township, where your development is going to take place, what you want to allow in those parcels, and then that's going to then change your zoning laws. And we've talked about a couple other things. I mean, we talked about the marijuana,
Oh, yeah.
businesses. We wouldn't want them next door in the middle of an area where there's daycare or right next to the schools. So that all plays into that. We talked about the B&Bs. That's something that's under zoning, it needs to be addressed. Well, that would play into this comprehensive plan. I know that, there was an ex-supervisor I spoke with once at a meeting in the past few months, said it was the best thing he ever did for the town. He says it lays it all out and it sets you up to fix your zoning laws, and the planning board has stuff to follow. And it's a great thing to do, it's an investment. He had told me, and I started thinking about it after Brian, hasn't been supervisor for 2 years, so it was probably 5 years ago when he did it for Schuyler Falls. But he said it was in the area of $10,000 using the college. And he said, you can look in, there's plenty of firms out there that'll do it for you, but he said the college did a great job, and it was a lot less money, I don't know if he said half the price. I don't know if that's something, we got determined, is that something we need to go for? I think first we need to really sit down and think about if we can get this moratorium in to
Give us some time.
stave things off, is some time to do this. When I asked her what it would take to get this adopted, and she kind of laid it out. I thought she was gonna put it in the email for me, but she didn't, but I think it's
It's a local law,
a local law, so it takes,
at least 2 months, you advertise it.
so she told me it could be done within 2 to 3 weeks. She laid it out, it has to be advertised, and she goes, I thought she said a 3-day period of wait, and then you have to do a public hearing.
Yeah, but like right now, we don't have a local law, so in order for us to advertise it, you have to advertise, like we couldn't say we want a local law on this moratorium for next month because we don't have anything, and the local law has to be available for people if they wanna come in and look at it. So it's
Yeah.
gonna have to be written up
Has
first.
to be written up first, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
and then once that's written up, then
Mhm.
it can be approved at, or we would set a public hearing
Mhm.
for the following meeting. But as far as the comprehensive plan, don't we have that already here at the town, Brian?
Nobody can seem to find it though. That's the, I believe at one time it was mandated that we did, but that was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I'm
And
not
if we
sure.
do have one, it would need to be updated, because obviously it didn't drive.
But can we create one if we already have one in place?
You probably can amend it.
Well, we
I don't
don't
know
even
if
know
you
what our
can-
original looks like.
Right.
It's probably,
Who would have that been filed with, just out of curiosity? Who might have a
Right.
copy? I mean,
well, I would think if we have one, it would be here in the vault. I would have to look and see.
a lot of times the
But
state wants proof.
That was before,
That they did something, they want proof that,
because that's when they did that, when they did all the of zoning way back.
Yeah,
What was the guy's name? I don't remember.
Land, Richard
Yeah.
Land,
Oh, yes,
yeah,
the guy in Coopersville,
yep,
yeah.
they just keep coming back.
Would that have been filed with the state?
Well, I forget,
So if I
it was mandated, if I remember right, every municipality had to have a comprehensive plan.
How often did they have to file it with the state? Was it,
Well, I don't know, but
because
think
I
we
don't recall
developed
this
a
ever coming
comprehensive-
up in the 4 years I've been in this seat.
Oh, no, this is, sheesh,
Way back.
forever.
This is before I was even here.
Yeah, this was a long, long time ago, and, we probably did do one, but, you know, who required it, what state agency required it, and where would it be? I have no idea.
If you wanna pass that down, I'll look at it, but that's a good example, that town there basically did it for the same reason. But then we would have to, in that comprehensive plan, we would determine how we could manage this. You know, what do? Do you force a large setback and in order to develop in front of a solar farm, but how do you do that legally with the property? You know, does it get subdivided?
I almost think this is a question here that you have to pose to a legal counsel. I think they would
Yeah,
understand more of the
yeah, well, I
real
need to-
estate side of the,
Well, I think I need to do more with the council here first, but yes, it's gonna have to go to legal counsel, there's no doubt about it. Kind
I
of do
think
more
it's
groundwork first.
the kind of thing where you have more than one public hearings, the comprehensive master plan.
For that,
But
yes.
this is the
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for
moratorium.
For the
moratorium.
moratorium, I don't think we need to go
But,
that extent.
Don't quote me, but I think if this person that wants to do this solar thing, if they come in and put an application in now, then they're in there. So even if we did this moratorium, it doesn't, so we would have to get moving on the moratorium, so before they put an application in.
Correct, correct. That's what my discussion with Katie was today, you know, are we behind the 8 ball with this one? And do we move
well,
forward
state
for the next
records,
one? She
Department of
said, and
State.
she seemed to
Yeah,
think this could be done
very
in
well
a couple of weeks, if you really push it.
Well, you'd have to get a hold of Favreau. No, who do we do? Yeah, Favreau's for the zoning too, for moratorium.
Correct.
I mean, they're fairly common, moratoriums. So it shouldn't be too hard for them to find out,
Yeah, we've had one here before for,
yeah.
but I can't remember what it was for. Was it windmills?
I think it was one of those.
I think we had a moratorium on the windmill.
So is that still in effect probably?
No, that's
No, that's,
done.
Okay.
They were supposed to do up some kind of law and nothing was.
I kinda remember that being discussed, that you couldn't have a windmill out in Point of Fair. So,
Yeah.
I thought, well, I did.
So I guess the
thinking of it.
question is, do we all agree that it would be really nice to have time to look into this and figure out how to revise our zoning, basically, because we don't even have solar farms in the zoning. So this last one that went in got put in under a variance, which the board approved. Because the only way to stop that would be to spell it out perfectly in the zoning law.
No, I think what you're saying, I completely agree. It was one of my questions to ask before we left tonight was, what are we doing about that? And of course, it does come up, yeah, I think we need to do something. And if our option right now is to put in almost like I don't wanna call it a stop, but it's almost like a blockage till we can get more information, so we can formulate something
Yeah,
more official, yes. I think we should do that.
It's a moratorium to not allow solar farms for a period of time that we choose. I would suggest 12 months. And it's spelled out in that example right there. You spell it out in there. We're doing this because we need to revise our zoning laws,
Right,
and we need some time.
Agreed.
it's a big step. And then important.
So do we need a motion? What are you after so we can move the ball rolling here?
I don't think I need a motion for it at this point, we just need to, if we all agree to move forward, we need to get it written and start putting everything in place. So I need to contact the association again tomorrow, and if we need to, we'll go to our attorney next to get it written.
Right.
I'd like to make one more call to the association, try to save a little money to get my ducks in a row.
Yeah,
Mm.
good idea.
Yeah, I don't know if are there other local municipalities that have actually had to put moratoriums on,
We thought Shazy did, but Chris was wrong, they don't have it.
they don't? And so did Sarah check with like the town of Plattsburgh or other?
No, I was gonna check with Altona to see if they dealt with it, the windows,
Right.
but I ran out of time today.
The town of Plattsburgh, I know, has put in a lot of more.
That's what I would figure,
moratoriums.
because of the size and scope, they must have
Yeah.
had a lot of moratoriums, so they're very familiar with the process.
So we can.
I'm in favor of moving forward.
We wanna be able to limit where it's
So we can
happening,
evaluate.
how much is happening.
Right.
I think we need to be able to do that.
Correct.
Yeah, because I mean, none of us are against solar farms.
No,
And
no,
I'm not against this company in any way.
Right,
I'm just worried about taking up all that prime space.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Or
correct.
even taking up a large portion of the right portion of it.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a big investment, you know, with the water, the infrastructure,
Right,
we have to,
correct.
you know, guard that resource.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping to get
Other,
someday more restaurants, a hotel,
Yeah.
a couple of stores.
Lodging and restaurants.
Pla-
are big.
Places that employ people is what we're
Right.
looking to
People
develop,
and the
that
other people
corridor
want to come
with,
and visit.
Correct.
Mhm.
you know?
And as far as we know, when the solar panels are put up here, is there any immediate benefit to the actual people of the community
Like the-
besides?
Landowner.
No,
Okay.
the power, yeah, the landowner, the power goes south,
Mhm.
doesn't stay here. So it'd be nice if it did, I mean,
It's local,
if you at least
yeah.
had that benefit to give to your taxpayers. Well, look, we're gonna have a much lower electrical rate now because
Correct.
of this being here, we can't say that, because it all goes south.
Yeah.
I was asked by
Yeah.
somebody who lives in the township about, I think they get mailings every once in a while about joining,
Yeah.
cooperatives, or I'm not 100% sure exactly what they are, I guess it's something else to research. And they were wondering, well, if we're bringing these solar farms in, do we then, if we can take part in a greater group, do we then get an electric rate decrease, or is there
Well,
something we can benefit from that happening? And I didn't have the answer.
Well, the one that's in Moore's, you can join that group, because I know Kim and I did a few years ago, and we get a small reduction off the electrical. I don't know, I wanna say $20, I'm not sure what it is. So we do benefit by being in that group.
Mhm.
But what's
But
happening
but
here in the
these-
township
these-
is not connected with.
These
I
are
don't think so.
for-profit, or solar farms, and they're already nice advice, a lot of it, New York, Olympic Regional Development Authority.
Correct, Orta.
Orta, buying, the one across from the school. It's just not gonna
It's
happen.
privatization.
But the one in Moore is what, we were very fortunate that was available.
That one you can join that.
But
So as far as the benefit, like of the one that's going in right now, we'll see increase real estate tax.
you know,
Tim can't even tell me how much, because it depends on how much power they produce. It goes into a calculation provided by the state, and tells him how much he's able to charge against the assessment. Example, whether it's 10%, 15%, or 20% against the assessed value. So the land does move from agricultural to commercial, which benefits us tax-wise, but we don't know how much.
Is it fair to say that that formula does not necessarily equate to, say, if on that same piece of property, a car dealership went on to that piece of property versus the solar farm?
That's a good question for Tim, but I would say no, it doesn't
Okay.
equate to the same, is what I'm guessing. So I think he said that the assessed value of this, of the agricultural land was 85,000, he goes, this is probably gonna be somewhere in the 100,000 or so assessment, and then it can only do a portion of it based on the formula.
Only on the increase.
Yeah, as where the agricultural, you can only, it was only 15,000 out of 85 that was being taxed.
So it might be a very small amount.
Yeah, or it might be moderate, but our worry is just
Prime
is
land.
the location.
Correct.
It's just the location.
Yes,
It's on our,
yes,
it's
yes.
on that corridor that we invested a lot of money in.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, I don't think we need a motion for that, I'll just keep working on it and we'll try to deal with it as quickly as we can. If we have to, we'll have a special meeting to approve
Yeah.
the next step. Okay, so that's, the, other correspondence was this water splash net. I think it was on Chris's report as well, this is right here in Beaman Way. There's also another, he just received another email today, I believe, there's another person looking at that property. The one that he just received was for a small machine shop,
Okay.
which is good. The only, either one, if it's a commercial, user that's gonna be going there, they would have to apply for a variance because the parcel is 30,000 square feet. And our zoning law says we require a minimum of 40,000 for a commercial business. So either way, either one of those two will have to apply for a variance. That's what that number 5 was.
Can I ask in terms of when a new business is looking to move into the area, how that business is kind of researched to determine exactly what their plans are, what their business scope is, what their, their production of goods and or services are planning to be. I'm not familiar with the forms that Chris has these individuals fill out, but it seems like there's a lot more new businesses trying to move into locales, and sometimes we don't really know their background.
Right, but I think that they would need to provide that, Julie, right, going forward to the zoning board and the planning board.
Yeah, there's an application. First, they'd have to see what they wanna do if it's allowed
Correct.
in the area.
And that's basically what they're doing at this
And
point.
whether, if it's allowed, then they need special use approval. Then they have to go through the steps with the zoning board, to get approval. So they have to submit a application with a site plan.
Correct.
We have a public hearing, it goes to the county.
Correct.
And then if it's not allowed, then they would have to apply for a use variance.
Correct.
Which is,
Even
it's
harder.
supposed to be harder to get. It's really supposed to be hard to get a use variance. But usually they'll contact us first and say, okay, this is what I wanna do, where is it allowed?
Mhm.
Or is it allowed?
Right.
So that's what both of these people have done.
And then we'll, let them know.
So I think all that's happened is Chris replied, when I sent it over to him, he replied back letting them know that they would require a use variance because of the size of the parcel.
Correct.
And just wait and see if they apply or not.
So typically, does the town actually grant those use variances
Well,
when they
Yes,
don't meet specs?
yeah,
Yes.
it
They do.
happened like that,
because the solar one,
yeah.
right there across from.
Correct.
That was a use variance and that was granted. When you apply for use variance, there's 4 criteria that they're supposed to meet in order for it to get approved. And they have to meet those while they submit them to the board, saying.
Right.
And the zoning board decides whether or not they feel that they met them or not. I think there was another one up on 276. Art Bedard one time applied for something up there. But I don't think that was ever, I think that was denied, but back then too, we had, Tom Renane was our attorney,
Mhm.
and when we had applications like this that were pretty tough,
Right,
he was here to help us,
right.
Yes, he was.
so, but now we don't have Tom anymore.
Well,
I mean, we've
yeah,
got,
but you guys still have the town lawyer on
well,
call.
we do,
He can-
if we need him.
Yeah, if you need him.
So these use variances do not automatically go before the actual legal representation for the town?
No, it goes before the zoning board,
Right,
and we can decide, the zoning board will decide whether or not they feel they need the attorney there.
okay.
Right.
And then if we do need the attorney, then that's when I'll contact the attorney, send them all the information, and then they'll come and represent the town.
So I think that there are cases where he should be used more.
Mhm.
But I also think this supports why we have to have our zoning laws better specified, so we don't end up in a use variance decision. I think it gets risky,
Right,
as compared to if your zoning law is specific in regards to, say, solar farms, right? It kind of makes it cut and dry. It's either allowed or it's not allowed.
and the main reason that I asked this question is that I went onto this particular company's website and I look at a lot of where they actually provide these types of products for. It's in the south, it's in Florida and different places, and I just find it interesting to find that, yes, they're willing to set up here in Champlain, New York. So,
Well, I'm not for sure, but I don't think we cannot say it's not allowed. I think we can put in the zoning, there's certain locations in the town.
right,
Like, say for instance, like this can go here on Route 9, but it's not allowed on Route 11. But I don't think we can actually come out and say, no, you cannot put a solar farm here in the town of Champlain. I think we can say it's allowed, but only in certain locations.
Right.
correct,
And that's
correct.
what, that's
That I
exactly,
understand.
that's exactly what we're
Yep.
striving for.
With anything, you know?
you know?
Because just like with single wide trailers, they're not allowed in certain areas in the town. There's only certain areas in the town that single wide trailer is allowed.
Right,
Or, so it's not like, because, there was a big thing where they didn't want them. But that's like kind of discriminating people that can only
Correct.
afford a single wide trailer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they set it where it's only allowed in certain areas of the town.
Correct.
Isn't that where all the zoning kind of started with the land thing? I thought it was over a trailer.
Oh, I'm not sure why it
Sure
started,
either.
but.
Yeah.
But it was to protect stuff like that from happening.
Mhm.
Okay.
so they're on Beaven Road is where they're looking to,
Yeah, right across the street.
Yep.
Yep. And the other one is, like I said, it's a small machine shop that wants to go in there, which is, I think would be helpful, but. Okay, then we get the, monthly dog report. You guys looked at this,
I did,
okay? And, let's see, Sarah provided this to me, I don't know if you have a copy of it or not, but it is to do with the safe drivers course that was given last week.
I noticed that's on the website,
Yeah, okay.
so that information is on there.
Okay, yeah, they had 6 total, it was probably partially because of the storm, but either way, they had no complaints.
You wanna share those dates and times, Tom, with the public?
No, we don't,
Is it on there?
no, we don't have anything scheduled yet.
Okay.
They're gonna schedule in September for
Okay.
fall season, so it'll probably be in October.
Okay,
But they were just letting us know that they had 6. They felt it was well attended regarding the storm. So then I've got the 2 letters in regards to Miramar, we talked about that already. The one to the town board and one to the property owner. And also notice of violation. And then we get to new business would be, the first one up is, do we want to refresh that report for the wastewater project. So we'll go back to the emails of Matt Cooper. Matt asked if he could come and present this to you guys, so you have a better understanding of what needs to be done, and also what the project would entail if we went forward with it. So I see there's two stages. I see one that I think we need to refresh the report in order to get back in the shelf for funding, because right now, the report was so old that this past year, from 2021, he got a call that the funding agency said, no, we're not gonna renew it again. It's been renewed every year up to then, because the data is so old. So it just needs to be revised with current data.
Correct. And there's no additional, because they said that there could be concerns if you try to create a new.
That feels, he's got all the data, so it's gonna be much cheaper to have him just revise it. I can get him up here to present this to us and get a better price, but I was getting a price of somewhere in the thousands. So at first he threw 10, I said, so you mean a couple thousand, right? He goes, yeah, we could probably do it just for a few thousand. So he's looking into how much it would cost just to refresh the report to get us back in the queue. But I personally think it'd be a good thing to have him come up here and get us refreshed, as well as what it would take to get this project done and what it would cost to do it. Because right now is a good time, or next year, right now in this near future, the next few years, there'll be a lot of funding available. And I think that's gonna expire someday. So I'd hate to wait too long
Right.
and then not be able to get the funding to help, or wait until we have something that wants to go in on that corridor, and then be scrambling, trying to figure out how to get a pipe there. So I had this conversation with Matt Blair. Matt, what's the advantage of having a pipe in the ground? Can you give me some sort of a statistic as to how much is that gonna help sell the property? He couldn't. He goes, I can tell you, it makes it easier to try to sell it if both pipes are already in the ground. He says, especially when you're trying to sell commercially. But he said, he couldn't put a value to it. But he said, I can tell you that if you get somebody that wants to buy it and they require wastewater, then it's gonna be harder to get it there, because you'll be scrambling, trying to find the funding and trying to figure out how to get the pipe to them. But he couldn't give me a solid answer as to how much benefit it was having it in the ground, ready to go. I believe from Parker's down are already in a line. I think they have a line that comes back from the school through the back property, ties into the industrial park in the village. So whether or not some of the other people on the corridor would care to be part of it, the only one I know of is, I remember when we were doing this water project, the guy that has that little auto sales came to us, and that's what he wanted more than water, because he has problems with his septic.
Ducks Auto?
Yeah, no, the little car sales there.
Oh,
On the right.
yeah, on the right hand side
on
near the
south
church.
side, yeah.
Well, it used to be
But
more
I
just-
think a good starting point is getting him to present us what that would be. What does that look like?
I think that's what we need for a starting point. If he's doing the engineering report, it would give us a lot more information and a better handle on what he thinks the cost might be. Although I'm sure they'll be lowballed, but, it gives us some idea of what it would cost. And that's a big thing.
Yeah, so I think that's why I see it as two phases. If you guys agree to move forward to make sure we stay in the queue for funding, and then we're gonna need to be looking at this year. And I'm not saying, this month, but I think we need to really look at it closely, like, can we do this or not?
Yeah.
And do we wanna do it in the next year or so? So,
I don't think it hurts to have them come and present, and at least, be able to kind of have something more concrete.
yeah, Right now,
you
we
know?
don't have.
Right now, we have nothing,
Right,
and it's kinda hard to make a decision without data.
yeah.
Yeah, we
You're
could,
talking about whether to proceed with the engineering report?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that's what he's talking about.
okay.
And then we'll have a better idea of his cost, because like I said, I did this on a phone call with him. and
Right.
I was trying to get him down, and that's where he landed. He kinda chuckled, he goes, probably wouldn't be more than a few. So we'll see what he's got. I'm gonna, hate to guess what it'd be, but it's not gonna be tens of thousands is what I'm trying to say. So I could invite him, we'll try to figure out how to get him up here. Do you wanna do that at a regular board meeting, or do you wanna do a special meeting and advertise it?
I think a regular board meeting would be good, just so the community is aware of what we're doing.
Oh, either way, we'd have to advertise it. I'm just
No,
saying.
I know, but a regular
You're
board
saying
meeting,
beyond,
yeah.
Okay.
uh,
Hopefully we have a smaller agenda than this when we do that.
we'll have to make our individual council reports much shorter, that's all.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. We will. All right, I'll see if I can get him up here for one of our next board meetings.
What's the name of his firm? Matthew, it's Matthew Cooper?
No, well, this is Matt Cooper. He works for,
Barton with Judas?
Barton and Judas.
Right on the top left
Oh,
hand.
yes, okay, I see it, right, like this email address. I increased the size of my copy just for my eye's sake, and I managed to cut off some of the,
Okay, so that's how we'll move forward with this. I will contact him and try to set that up. So we can come up here and then we can decide yea or nay for having him do the report. And we'll have a better understanding of how we feel about moving forward as well, right?
Right.
yeah.
I agree, thank you.
Are we aware of any municipalities that have recently moved forward with, construction for wastewater?
No, but I suppose I could find out for you. I could call Plattsburgh and see if they've had any projects recently. I know Lake Placid is, right, they're doing
Right.
Main Street.
Yeah,
I don't know, what's your angle on that one?
I'm just trying to kind of figure, as far as, some of the concerns that maybe they didn't think of, that they've run into,
Yeah, we can ask that. I think that we'll have to look at that more when we decide to move forward.
So we would be looking at primarily from Parker's to the east?
Well, a long time ago.
For the piping, I'm talking, just,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the way this was originally designed was it was to come right through Parker's all the way down
okay,
and tie in down here with the rest of it, which starts at what, Borderview? I think,
On the corner of the
or
road.
UPS, one or the other.
uh,
That's what the original plan was, so everything from 276 down this way was going into the Champlain
okay,
wastewater
wastewater,
facility.
yeah,
And everything east
yes,
was going to Rouse's Point.
okay,
Both Chris and Jed, I had a quick conversation on it with them, they're both willing to take the income if we go
Okay.
through with it and people are using it, so they're, because at one time, when there was a previous mayor, he didn't want it.
Now wastewater is just everything that comes off of, for drainage, the
It's your sewer.
sewer.
just
Okay.
sewer, yeah.
Yeah.
Just sewer.
They frown on groundwater going into
correct.
sewer systems, because it overloads the sewage treatment plant, so. In fact, it's illegal in most municipalities to. put-
Right, they can find you,
Yeah, they can find you.
some of them have codes that they'll find you.
Okay, so I'll set that up. Next thing is the resolution for Bridge New York. Did send this whole packet to our attorney, Mr. Favreau. He sent back an email this afternoon, everything looks fine to him. Again, since I haven't written that very many resolutions, I did have a sample to work with from the county. This is what we have. So
Thank you.
I basically have to read this off to you, so we need to get this approved.
Okay.
And what'll happen is, there'll be 6 copies individually stamped, they're gonna be going out. And I have to meet with the attorney and sign 6 individual contracts that all have to be notarized. So with this particular grant, there is a lot of paperwork, and this is probably just the tip of the iceberg.
And if I recall, didn't Alan say that he has something coming up in March, a PowerPoint that he has to
I think so.
view in regards to this? I thought he said that at the last meeting.
I think he did. Okay, so this is the Bridge New York resolution by municipality, it's the Carding Road over Beaver Creek culvert replacement. We need a resolution number, Julie.
Yeah, it's 6,
Resolution number 6.
yeah.
This is authorizing the implementation and funding 100% of the cost of a transportation project of which qualified costs may be reimbursed by Bridge New York funds. Whereas a project for the Kearney Road over Beaver Creek culvert replacement, PIN number 775406, the project is eligible for reimbursement of qualified costs from Bridge New York funding that calls for the post-reimbursement, a portion of qualified costs be borne at a ratio of 100% Bridge New York funds and 0% non-Bridge New York funds. And whereas the New York State Department of Transportation, New York State DOT, will design, let, and administer all phases of the project. Whereas the town of Champlain desires to advance the project by making a commitment of 100% of the cost of design, right-of-way, construction work for the project, or portions thereof. Now therefore, the town of Champlain Board duly convened does hereby resolve that the town of Champlain Board hereby approves the project, and it is hereby further resolved that the town of Champlain Board hereby grants New York State DOT permission to directly apply Bridge New York funds to reimburse costs incurred by New York State DOT on the project. And it is further resolved that the town of Champlain Board hereby agrees that the town of Champlain shall be responsible for all costs of the project which exceed the amount of the New York Bridge funding awarded to the county of Clinton. And it is further resolved that in the event of the cost of the project exceed the amount of Bridge New York funding appropriated, the town of Champlain shall convene as soon as possible to appropriate said excess amount immediately upon the notification by the New York State DOT thereof. And it is further resolved that the town of Champlain Board hereby agrees that the town of Champlain hereby commits that construction of the project shall begin no later than 24 months after award, and the construction phase of the project shall be completed within 30 months. And it is further resolved that the supervisor of the Board of the town of Champlain be and is hereby authorized to execute all necessary agreements, certifications or reimbursement requests with New York State DOT for state aid and or Bridge New York funding on behalf of the town of Champlain in connection with the advancement or approval of the project and providing for the administration of the project and the municipality's funding of the project costs. And it is further resolved that the town of Champlain will be responsible for all maintenance of the project, and it is further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution be filed with the New York State Commissioner of Transportation by attaching it to any necessary agreement in connection with the project. And it is further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. I'm looking for a motion to approve said resolution as written.
I'll make a mo- Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Bridge New York resolution by municipality for the Cardown Road over Beaver Creek culvert replacement.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
thank you. Any further discussion on it? The grant amount is $999. It's just like $1 on $1 million, so I would hope that that could be done within that amount.
Correct.
If there's anything over that, we will be responsible for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Ouch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Should we do a roll call? Let's do a roll
I'll
call.
do a roll call.
Yes, let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Bryan, or Moore? Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Rochester? Councilmember Cory?
Aye.
And Supervisor Trombley.
Aye.
Sorry, Brian.
Okay, so that'll go out and I'll make an appointment with the attorney to take care of those 6 contracts. And then the addendum to the public employer health emergency plan for the town of Champlain. Can I get have you guys all reviewed it? Basically, this was to put some clarity in how we are going to account for these hours that are being paid for. So if you had time to review it, you'd see it takes you to the section of the
3 sections.
of the plan, you know, with a number and exactly what we want to add, we want to clarify.
Right.
So this, I think would be good to put to a motion for approval in the minutes, so we can attach it.
I make a motion that we approve the addendum to the public employer health emergency plan for the town of Champlain.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Brian. Any discussion on the way it was written, or what our thoughts were?
It's primarily driven based upon the CDC and the changes that have come about.
Yes, this was just to
So.
exactly input clarification to how it's being paid out
Correct.
and how the hours are on a max, that you don't keep getting renewed. Kind of following suit with other organizations such as the school, other businesses.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, we will attach that to the plan. Then I have one more thing, and that is a letter from Natasha Negus. She is requesting to be, to serve on the zoning board of the ZBA. We do have an alternate place open.
It's not an alternate, it's an opening?
Well, it's an alternate,
It's an
yeah.
alternate spot?
It's an alternate spot, I guess
Okay.
is the way I should put that. I would like to, with your approval, I would like to speak with her in detail about this. And I really think she should, any new members we're putting on that board, I think it should go through training before they serve. So I'd asked Julie to see if there was any online training available for her. I guess it's in, I just think it's in regards to thinking about the solar, it's like they really need to follow the criteria only. It's not about, there's no personal choices in this,
Right.
in this job.
Correct.
You agree?
Mhm.
So under your guidance, I'd like to speak to her in detail. I think that should be a fine addition, but I'd like to make sure that
And you deal with another member of the zoning board?
you want me
So
to-
that they could actually, maybe, if she has questions, she can, that person
Yeah,
can
that's a good
respond to
idea.
those questions?
That's a good idea. Maybe I should do it with Tracy. Tracy's the chair, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it with the chair. That sounds like a good idea. But I really, and you know how I feel about training, I really think this is a very important position.
So would you like us to table this until the next meeting, so you have a chance to do what you need to do?
That sounds good,
All right,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to table this until,
until I've had this meeting.
until the supervisor has spoken with with Natasha Nevis, and, we will address this again in the March meeting.
Yeah, I like that.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is tabled. The water board report, is everybody reviewed? Are we able to approve this so it can get sent off to both the village and the water board? Anybody have any corrections or anything, any further? I mean, I think it's fine. I think it has a lot in it, but I think it's fine. And we'll have to, trying to think what this is. So basically, if we set it up with my thoughts, Rick, everything here going out to the water board is either,
It's in the top part.
yep,
Yep.
and it's agreements to their recommendations, but
Correct.
it looks like there's also some suggestions as well.
Correct. And then as you'll notice, I put in a very brief paragraph kind of describing, for transparency purposes, that the town is also kind of recommending the following to the village of Champlain and also to the town of Champlain. What they do with it, of course, is their own. And I included Kim this time in the CC.
Thank you. Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the water board report as submitted.
And once I have email addresses for all of the water board members, I will send it out.
oh, you don't have them all?
I do not have, I don't believe I have all of them.
You probably only need Jack's.
I don't have Jack's.
Yeah, I can give you that tonight.
Okay, great,
I've got that on my phone.
super.
But I'm assuming.
Because I thought you wanted me to CC each water board member, so.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. So I'll give, I think Jack should be the only one you're missing, I believe. You should have
I
had
have all the
rest.
others?
You should have had the rest in the previous correspondence, no?
I don't know, I'll check and see, but
I can either, if you want all of them, I could do that tomorrow and send it off to you, or?
okay, great, that would
Okay.
work. That's perfect, thank you.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So now,
How big is the water board? Is it a lot of people?
it's five.
Five?
Five, so there's three from the town, or two from the town, three from the village. Okay, motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And a second? Annie?
I say I'm ready for bed.
Is that the way you fall? Aye.
All in favor, aye. Carried.
I
Yeah,
think I'm ready to go.
we gotta quit holding such big meetings.
Good night.
Julie, thank you.
Second here. Okay, you gotta shut the
Oh, yes.
camera off.
Yeah.